Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is June the 23rd, 1442, on the ancient moon calendar, 1443, on the ancient sun calendar, and 2022 on the Greco-Roman calendar. Can you all see the document on the screen? Hopefully you can. Okay, Islam. The first thing right out of the gate, let's get right on down to business. Let's see. First thing, I'm going to open the floor. Have you all ever actually read a passport and the things that are in the passport? Have you actually read it? I'm going to open the floor. Yeah, you can star 6 to unmute yourself. If you've ever actually read a passport.
Empress, do you mean what they require to get a passport, or the actual, once you have it, the details contained within?
The details contained within.
Okay, I've never had a passport, so I yield the floor.
So, and I see in the chat that some have not read it. I'm getting ready to do a demonstration, so I had to look in it and see what it said just in preparation for this demonstration, because we've terminated all corporate contracts, so we have, we need to render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. And so in preparation for that demonstration, I just so happen to be looking through the passport, and wow, it states right in the passport, right there on the document, yes, that it's unlawful to even have one. Have you ever read that in there? It's unlawful to even have one. So let me show you what I saw when I went and looked in the passport, and just so happened to be reading through just to see what, because, the ancestors have a tendency to point things out to us. And so it says here, this is from page 5 of the passport. It says this passport is not valid unless signed by the bearer in the area designated on page 3. So first and foremost, without your autograph, your sovereign signature is not valid anyway, okay? They're telling you here that the only thing that validates it is that you agree to use it. That's the only thing that makes it valid. It's not valid any other way. That's number one. And then it says further, it is unlawful for any person other than the original lawful recipient to use this passport. Well, what do we know about persons? First of all, we're not persons. That's number one. Second of all, we are the fiduciary for our sovereign person. But because the fiduciaries did not make and create that one, it's not even lawful for us to have it and not know that we're the fiduciaries of the all caps. And then it says in the next sentence right there, use of this passport in contravention of passport regulations. In other words, you must be the original lawful recipient that it was made for. Well, you couldn't possibly be the original lawful recipient. You could not possibly be their citizen. It's impossible. That is why And there's a little bit of feedback coming from one of the lines. So it is impossible for us to even be a U.S. citizen if it's created by someone else. When the living state does it, because see, we're the fiduciaries of that. Let's just be real. We're the fiduciaries of the living United States, not a dead one, the living one. It's not valid unless you validate it. And that should tell you that no paper is valid unless you validate it. It tells you right there that it's your sovereign autograph and your consent and assent to validate something that makes it valid. Delarium included. It is your autograph that makes any paper valid. But see, when documents that we did not create, when we validate those documents, there's some things that come with it that we don't want to be a part of, such as being able to be arrested for things that are not unlawful. Again, we know about the 3 Sesta QV, the dead one. We know about those 3 warrants that are issued automatically for United States corporation company citizens. There are 3 warrants that are outstanding and that are issued the minute a birth certificate, a social security card, and a passport are issued for anyone. There are 3 warrants that are issued immediately, and those are actually considered the warrants. Why is that? Because that's not us. We didn't create it.
Islam. And war, rant, because they're warring and ranting against the true sovereign people. That's
Yes.
what you break that word down.
Yes. Yes. Islam to the etymology, Empress. Yes. All we have to do is look at what they're saying. Look at what they're saying. This is why we're doing all of the things that we're doing. Because they're telling you now, if you're not the original lawful recipient, well, since when is something created by the United States Corporation Company lawful anyway? And why didn't they use the word legal? Why didn't they use the word legal?
Because the original has to always be lawful, and they are illegal, so they can't. This is our remedy right here. When you comprehend it and understand it, it is unlawful for any person other than the original lawful recipient. So yeah, they're stating that, and then like you said, a lawful recipient wouldn't even be trying to get one of these because we have right of passage on any part of our land.
Yes.
Coming and going 6 ways to Sunday.
Yes. 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 And then when we look at Article 1508, let's go there really quickly too, because this is important that we know this. 1508.
Empress is also saying that persons are unlawful and illegal as well.
As created by them, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yes.
Yes. And that is why we had to create our own persons. We had to do that. I saw, so let's see, I'm looking here and I want to put this on the screen also. Let's make sure that we get it up here so that you can see that let's see, where is it? Nope, I don't want that one. really want right here. Okay. So Article 1508, and let's go ahead and I'll just click on www.justice.gov. There are others that mention, other websites that mention this same thing, but this is the United States Department of Justice archives, and the reason it was archived was because none of us were using it. And it does not apply to citizens. This is talking about national identity cards. Section 1508 specifically mentioned identification documents in alignment with 18 U.S.C. 1028. It says Section 1028 of Title 18 designates 3 special non-federal identification documents and gives them preferred treatment with this caveat. These 3 documents, in the absence of a national identity card, are the prime means by which an individual, not even states, they're not even talking about states, they're talking about individuals, because individuals don't have rights, states have rights. And it says, are the prime means by which an individual establishes his identity. That tells you too that we're the ones who say who we are. We're the ones who make that decision. It says the 3 documents that they give preferred treatment in the absence of a national identity card are a birth certificate, a driver's license, and personal identification card. And then down here a little further, they start talking about passports and things like that, other documents, types of identification documents. But it's starting with the birth certificate and driver's license. You don't, in the absence of a national identity card, we have an identity card. And it is national. And that means that we establish our identity. And are we in the United States? No, we're not in the United States. The United States is a part of the heir of our estate in its living status, but not in a dead status, because the United States was hypothecated just like everything else was. Okay? Or else they wouldn't even be here.
Islam. This is also in accordance with the Consulate Jurisdiction Notification and Access Packet, as far as in absence of the national identification card, that they would look for a driver's license for you to, convey a conveyance. And so this is right in alignment. And yeah, these 3 documents in absence of. So they're putting it out there stating that because you don't have what you're supposed to have, and you have what we give you, now you're identified within the United States corporation. That's what that is saying also.
Yes, yes, it's saying that really they are identifying you because those are their documents. Mm-hmm. So that's the stuff they produce, and then they get to tell their all caps what to do. I mean, but look at this trick language here when it comes to the birth certificate even. This thing right here, because see, they're not going to, they have to tell the truth. It says right here on the screen, birth certificate is not even defined in 18 U.S.C. 1028 since it is self-explanatory. Is it? Is it really? Self-explanatory means we must produce our own birth certificate because theirs is not self-explanatory because it's pointing to something else that's not us. And it says,
shoot.
Yes.
Yeah, this document is issued by different agencies in different states and foreign countries.
Yes. Yes. And
different agencies.
States. We're the living state. It says, nevertheless, it represents, again, and nobody represents the Moors, we present ourselves. It represents the official governmental statement by the proper government agency that a person having such a name was born on a particular date in a particular place of specific parentage. That's trick language. It says, obviously, a birth certificate is not intended to actually identify the person who claims such a document pertains to him. Is that not shady, shifty language? They're saying that this is obvious. No, it's not obvious, because every time you had to go somewhere, they asked for that. So
they obfuscating that, though. They are obfuscating.
Yes.
And so.
Trick language.
Commerce. It's all about commerce.
Yes, it's all about commerce. It says that obviously a birth certificate is not intended to actually identify the person who claims such a document pertains to him. There are a few physical characteristics that remain the same as those at the time of birth, such as consanguinity, bloodline, and birthright. See, they're not even going to tell you that what those few physical characteristics are.
And then as you continue on, it says, nevertheless, the birth certificate has become commonly accepted because we have not been standing on our square as nationals. It says it's been commonly accepted as an identification document in this country.
And we are, yeah, there it is right there. They're telling you right there that we needed to produce our own birth certificates to state who we really are.
Remember,
doing all the things we're doing. Yes, nobility, Islam.
The number that is registered to the person is a promissory note that is being used on the stock market, being traded for every time person is joined every day. Even when the person is being arrested, being deal, spending money, being full working, it all be traded on stock market.
Yes, it's commerce.
It's just commerce.
Now let's just look at driver's license and what they're saying here. Now remember, this. Look at this website. This is the United States Department of Justice archives. Okay, it's saying here. Look at driver's license. Driver's license is not even defined in 18 U.S.C. 1028. So there they go again. First they said specifically mention identification documents 18 U.S.C. 1028. They're saying that 18 U.S.C. 1028 is supposed to be, you know, validating and supporting what they're saying, but it's not. 18 U.S.C. 1028 is specifically pointing to national ID. It says the original purpose of this government-issued document was, in the past, to state that a particular person was authorized to operate a vehicle upon the public roadways. So it's not even identifying you. It's just saying that a particular person, not even the person holding it, just a particular person was authorized to operate a vehicle upon the public roadways. It was, and it says here, it was not intended to establish one's identity. Well, why in the heck were they always saying, when the policy enforcer walk up to the conveyance, what does the first thing come out of his mouth? Driver's license
and registration.
There you go. There you go. Why? Because no national ID. We did that, we did that, we did that, we did that. And that's why we got to render that on back to Caesar. It says because of the absence, and they telling you right here, because of the absence of a better document. Now, how in your face is that? Because of the absence of a better document, however, the driver's license eventually has become commonly accepted as the national identity card. Really? Now you know why everybody was being thrown in the clink. Because that is not a national identity card. Because corporations cannot govern. Corporations don't have a nationality unless they're underneath the Moors authority. Section 1028 covers both domestic as well as foreign government-issued driver's license. So Section 1028 is still not talking about them. It's not even defined there. They said that. And then lastly here, and then we'll move on to our other topics, personal identification card is defined in 1810-28 to mean an identification document, more than this is important, issued by a state or local government solely for the purpose of identification. The sovereign Moorish state must identify itself, ourselves, okay? And that's why we did what we did with the driver license and with the state security card last week. We showed you that our government is issuing these documents because those actually identify us because we say they do. Those are our persons. Those are our subjects. See, those things are instruments. A state security number or a sovereign security number or a sovereign land driver's license issued by a living state is a living document. It is a tool, an instrument that we use. Okay? It says this definition would appear to limit such documents to those issued by domestic governmental entities. Here, let me move that up because there's some interference here in the way. It says, and they're saying i.e. within the United States, but really what it means is domestic means on the land. It's okay. Within the United States means on paper. This definition would appear to limit such documents to those issued by domestic governmental entities in contrast to the first two birth certificates and driver's license. So whenever we put the constitutions on the public record, both the federal constitution that we put on the public record and the state constitution, that means that our government must issue driver licenses and state security cards because we're not at the United States Corporation Company anymore. We're on the land. So, you know, they're telling you here in 1979, the National Committee on Uniform Traffic Laws and Ordinances, and this kind of thing, a National Committee on Uniform Traffic Laws and Ordinances, is where we would look to see if, you know, just to make sure that the driver licenses that we issue have all of the proper information on them. Okay, they don't tell us what to do. We're not under it, but we're aligned with what needs to be done here so that we don't miss anything, okay? And we won't miss anything because we're the ones who put this stuff out here in the first place. But they hypothecated it when they put it on these websites and things because they cannot speak sovereign language. They must speak to the citizens. So the National Committee on Uniform Traffic Laws and Ordinances, authors of the Uniform Vehicle Code. Now, more, that's another resource right there. We can look at that and see what else, what else needs to be done. Okay, provided for the issuance of identification cards for non-drivers and restrictions on the unlawful use of such cards. And then it says here, the Uniform Vehicle Code, which serves as a model state code for vehicular matters, defines a personal identification card as a document issued by the department for the sole purpose of identifying the bearer and not authorized for use as a driver's license. So this tells you right here, and they carefully put all the words. They said model state code in all lowercase letters for vehicular matters. They didn't say cars, they said vehicular matters. Vehicular is a conveyance. Defines a personal identification card in all lowercase letters as a document issued by the department in all lowercase letters of motor vehicles in all lowercase letters for the sole purpose of identifying the bearer and not authorized for use as a driver's license. So we can look at this, and here it is, UVC, Uniform Vehicle Code, subsection 1-156. This code we could elevate it to a universal vehicle code. Okay, so in the future, in the coming weeks, we're going to be looking at that, and we'll go ahead and elevate it and say all corruption is out of it. So that way, you know, those who study the right to travel and driving and commerce and all of that, really look at that vehicle code so that you can elevate it and move it up and fix it so that it fits our sovereign state. Those are all things we need to be looking at, and that way, as we demonstrate our documentation, we will know that everything that we're doing is proper. So when they talk about proper case, that's what they're talking about. Is it done as, you know, like it should be? Because we're the ones who said everybody on our land needs to be identified properly. So all the citizens got identified, and then the Moors was sitting up there like, okay, well, I guess we better come up with our ID too, you know. But everybody got in alignment, and they're getting in alignment as we continue to get in alignment with what we said. Okay.
Islam.
Islam Empress.
So one thing I was thinking was that the corporation, the custodians in the offices of motor vehicles, they're not necessarily going to go anywhere because we still need to have uniform, you know, understanding about operating such conveyances and having like eye tests. Because before I came into the science of self, I used to sit back and be like, dear God, like, where do these people get some of their licenses to drive from Kmart? Because like they don't know that science of centrifugal force for operating a vehicle is very much in operation at all times. Like you can't stop on a dime and think you're not going to possibly hit the conveyance in front of you and all those different things. So the education of what they were doing still needs to be done. That's what I'm saying.
And you know what, Empress, we're competent to do that. All we have to do, and they can go, we can just look at the code. We know what code to look at. Just look at it and then properly take the corruption out of it. As long as we know where to look for that, then we can do it. Okay, there are some who are specifically interested in that. There's a question in the chat, Justice Jade says, a vehicle is also a conveyance? He's asking that question. So in the dictionary, it states here, and if I could take a photo of this and pop it on the screen, I sure would. It says, any means of carrying, conveying, or communicating. That's what it says as the definition. It says a means by which ideas are expressed or made known. And this is the definition for vehicle, the word vehicle. It says in painting, a liquid as water or oil with which pigments are mixed for use. In pharmacy, a vehicle is a substance as sweet syrup in which medicines are given. In the theater, a play thought of as a means of communication or as a means of presenting a specified actor or company. So vehicle is indeed conveying. And then there's another one here that says any device on wheels or runners for conveying persons or objects as a cart, sled, automobile, etc. Still doesn't say anything about cars. It says automobiles and motor vehicles, because that's actually the term that we were using initially, as a motor vehicle or a conveyance. And our conveyances convey energy because we're in them and we're using them. Yes, Justice Sheik, Klein says vehicle is also your body. Absolutely, it is an energy vehicle. It's an energy conveyance. Our bodies are also the only portals that by which the universe can speak. Our bodies are that. So people keep pointing like they always been doing. Portals are up there in the sky. Look, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, no, the portals are the Moors. This is how how the universe speaks on the land. And air and water and space and sea, all of that. We are the way that the universe makes it, that Allah speaks. So they keep trying to have everybody looking up in the sky and looking down under the ground and looking over there in Africa and looking, the Moors are how the ancestors speak. And that includes the Moors at Africa, and that includes the Moors at the UK, and it includes the Moors all over the earth. We're the portals. That's why we have chakras. Chakras are portals. So, we know not to look up in the sky for the Savior. We're the Savior. Islam. So I wanted to point those things out because some still have questions about passports and things like that. We don't national ID. And then for those that want to match it point for point, because like we're matching things point for point. That's why we're producing the things we're producing, because we're looking at, even when you looked at what we just looked at, they give hints throughout the whole thing, but we have to know how to read. And we do know how to read. But they're giving hints saying, Moors, you need to produce a national ID, and you all need to identify yourselves properly and use your person and not a dead person. So let's now move forward because we have a few other things to cover really quickly. I just wanted to bring that forth. Something that Moors we need to put forth. There's something we need to put forth. We need to put on the table. Can you all hear me? Okay.
It's on it. Yeah.
Thank you. We need to put an issue on the table that is just another. All we're doing is all law is specific. We want to specifically speak to this particular issue. The issue is the 1933 gold confiscation law. So I'll tell you a little bit about it, and I'll show you the document that we put together, and we can discuss the document, and if you want to vote on it today, we can. If you want to vote on it next week, we can, or Sunday, we can, whichever this Congress thinks is appropriate. The 1933 Gold Confiscation Act, because we looked at the act and then we elevated everything up. I'll put the document on the screen right now, actually, so that we can look at it as we discuss it. The reason that this is what gold confiscation looks like. Let's talk about that first. Gold confiscation looks like everything else we've been doing, where we put the law on the public record and we say, okay, everyone who's holding gold, everyone claiming to be an owner of gold, your gold doesn't belong to you if you are a person, if you have a person. Okay, so again, the sovereigns in red and all lowercase letters, we're the real heirs to all gold. So that's why we use the language of person, just like they did. And this is really what happened in 1933, is all persons were supposed to turn their gold into the banks so that the banks could issue real money. But the persons that they were talking about then were hypothecated persons. But they did it, and then they started printing fiat in 1933. The bank is the Moors. Let us get that straight. The bank is the Moors. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. And so confiscation is simply the Moors putting on the public record that all gold, no matter what kind it is, bullion, coins, whatever, belongs to the heirs. And then we give a few caveats to that. That talk about things like gold artwork and things like that. So, for example, people who make necklaces and things like that, they have a certain amount that they can have to do whatever they need to do. But ultimately, what the Moors, because gold does not disappear, it doesn't rust, it doesn't do any of that. So all the gold that's ever been produced, even when you see the King Tut, you know, quote unquote, the sarcophagi and the gold that they were wearing, that gold still exists and it still belongs to us. So what we want to do is go ahead and discuss the confiscation of all gold by the government, which is us. And the reason that this was modeled in 1933 was so that when we woke up, like the prophet said, in the 2000s, the Moors are going to come into their own. He knew that we would know to look at what was done and and say, okay, they're teaching us how to govern here. Let's take a look at this and then put it into fruition. Okay. So there is just a moment. There's a little bit of noise coming from one of the lines. Empress Rima, there's a little bit of background.
I'm muted right now. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay. So let's take a look at the gold confiscation law. We've done the study on it, and we will do our best to explain it in detail. So if you have any questions about it, and then those more that have done the study on it, please, you know, your wisdom is necessary for us to continue to put the law on the public record. So let's just take a look here. Of course, we call it the gold confiscation law. And I will say this about it, nobility. What we're really saying is that banks need to honor the gold clause. They need to honor the gold standard. So by telling the people to take your gold to the bank, that means that the banks will honor the gold standard and give the people real lawful money. Okay, that's what we're doing, and we're way ahead of the curve, but not really. We're right on time, simply because we know that based on the documentation that we put on the public record, about 2 or 3 years ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, as a body, we voted that the gold standard is in full effect and activated. So when we started doing that, the subjects in the office of the custodians in the office of the banks began to continue to collect way more gold. Okay, they began to, and you can go out there and Google where, you know, quote unquote central banks have been buying up all the gold. They've been buying up all. Those are custodians in the office of, and they knew that when we woke up, we were going to do this. So we're just manifesting what they knew we would do. So this clause was instituted, and this is based on our study, Executive Law 6102. When we did the study, they call it an executive order, but we know that an order is not what we thought it was. An order is like you go to McDonald's and you say, may I have this and may I have that? And that's why they ask, may I take your order? Because it's a request, and we don't request what's ours. We give commands and state for the public record as a people and as the state and the government. So it's Executive Order 6102 requiring gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates to be delivered to the government. We put a capital G on government because we know that in all lowercase letters, we already own everything. But now we're speaking to those on our land. It says by the sovereign authority, and if there's some language in this document that you all feel can be more specific, please speak so that we can make sure that the language is what it should be. By the sovereign authority vested within this state by bloodline and birthright and stated by Section 5B of the law for October 6, 1917, as amended by the law for April 5, 1933, and by Section 2 of the law for March 9, 1933, entitled A Law to Provide Relief for the Existing National Emergency for Banking and for Other Purposes, in which this sovereign Congress hereby declares and proclaims that a serious emergency exists and that we, the state, who are the presidents for the United States for America, do declare that pursuant to said section, we do hereby make and enforce this law, which does prohibit the hoarding of gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates at the continental United States land by individuals, partnerships, associations, and corporations, and hereby proclaim the following articles for carrying out the purposes of this law. And we'll go through the language that we used if you have any questions about the presidents for the United States for America. That's all of us. When we make these types of decisions, we do it together in the favor of all Moors. And some might wonder how that works. It works the same way as it did back in when our ancestors were governing together. Section 1, for the purposes of this law, the term hoarding means the withdrawal and withholding of gold coin, gold bullion, or gold certificates from the recognized and customary channels for trade. The term person means any individual, partnership, association, or corporation. Okay. Section 2, all persons are hereby required to deliver on or before August 3rd, 1442, which is 2022, that's the moon calendar year, to a Federal Reserve Bank or a branch or agency thereof, or to any member bank of the Federal Reserve System, all gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates now held by them, and I meant to say by us, by them, yes, gold certificates now held by them and coming into their holdings on or before August 3rd, 1442, which is 2022, except the following. Let me explain briefly. The Federal Reserve Bank and the Federal Reserve System is the Moors. We put that in the document in red in all lowercase letters. We could say to the custodians in the office of Federal Reserve Bank, if that would be more specific, which I think it probably would. What do you all think about changing that to the custodians in the office of Federal Reserve Bank and Federal Reserve System, because we know that they work for us?
I would prefer that.
Islam.
So would I, Empress. And also, as far as the date, August 3rd, should that year be 1443 or no?
It can be. It can be. In fact, what we'll do is just add 1443 to it, if that's okay, Empress, or do you want it to specifically say 1443?
Well, I thought 1443 was Moorish calendar year was equivalent to 2022, so that was why I said that.
Yes, you're correct, Empress, in that
Okay.
1443 is the sun calendar year, and 1442 is the moon calendar year. So that's why we could put the moon calendar, the sun calendar. We can put them both, or we can put one. It's up to us how we want to do that. At the top of the document, I put both of them just because of that. And then I also put 2022 there.
I see that now. Islam.
But we'll add 1443 to each one of these, just so that we are consistent throughout the document with what you said, Empress, because that's important. And then to the custodians in the office of the Federal Reserve Bank, or a branch or agency thereof, or to any member bank, or to any custodians in the office of member bank of the Federal Reserve System. All
Islam. I'm sorry. Would it be the de jure Treasury and the de jure Federal Banking Reserve System at this point?
It is, because it's coming from a de jure state. It's already that.
Okay.
Because see, we're not using their capitalism. We're using our own capitalism, and we're using the system that we put in place. That's the difference between what we're doing and what they talk about. Because they were never the real Federal Reserve. They were never the real Treasury. They were never the real anything.
All right. So I was just asking if that should be stated on this document as well, to classify the de jure Federal Reserve, to distinguish that.
Here, and we can vote on putting that there. Because this is coming from our court, it's already de jure, just because of the court action language, and that's why we use it. But what do you think, heirs? This is coming from all of us. So
Islam,
Empress.
I could go either way, but I think you're right. I think you're right. The document in itself is coming from the Moors.
Yes.
And so we're talking about what law we're putting in place. So it would be kind of difficult to misinterpret that, I would imagine. But I could go either way. Islam.
Coming from us, that's why we put the court action language first, because this is actually a quo warranto mandamus restitutio, because restitution is due the heirs.
Islam, agreed.
and also court action.
Agreed.
Yes.
Islam.
Yes, Islam. And then it says here, our full faith and trust and allegiance and credit and energy are vested in ourselves. That is de jure all day, every day. But we do have the word de jure here as well, as in this is coming from the de jure. So,
Yeah, I was going to suggest that we put de jure in the court action language at the beginning, and I see it there already. So maybe that will appease the Empress as far as distinguishing that the government is de jure in all that it does.
Islam. Empress, is this okay with you?
Yeah, as long as it's expressed and understood without ambiguity that this is the de jure Federal Reserve Bank. So then that's fine.
Islam. And I know that once we overstand, and we do overstand it already, and that's why we speak the way that we do, that the things that we do don't have anything to do with the fraudulent people. They were fraudulent. We've shut that down. So the things that we do, everything is de jure and living and all of that, especially coming from the heirs, especially. So we want to make sure, thank you for that, Empress, because we want to make sure that we don't leave out anything. By the same token, we want to ensure that we know, too, that everything coming from us is living, period. It's all of it is. It's de jure, living, honorable documentation coming from the people.
Empress, I want to thank you for continuing to repeatedly say that, because that programming keeps coming in. Like, we keep thinking that they're the government when it's us, and we know that, but, it has to be repeated, and you do a great job with repeating that. Thank you very much, Islam.
Islam, Empress, thank you for saying that. Because what the Empress brought forward, we have had to work on it and work on it and work on it and work on it. And now we got it to where, you know what, we're not even talking to them. It's not about them. It's not any of that, unless we're saying custodians. But the things that we knew in the past, it's a wrap. It's a wrap, and I'm so glad that we heard affirmation of it being a wrap just over the last few days and weeks. So, you know, we have a tendency to want to keep explaining ourselves to them, and we don't have to, because we are who we are. We're here together, governing already, been governing. Part A says, let's see, so we're talking about the exceptions to turning in the gold. Such amount of gold as may be required for legitimate and customary use in industry, profession, or art within a reasonable time, including gold prior to refining and stocks of gold in reasonable amounts for the usual trade requirements for owners mining and refining such gold, which we do that too. Okay, we are mining and refining as well. Gold coin and gold certificates in an amount not exceeding in the aggregate $100 belonging to any one person, and the use of the word person is on purpose there. And remember, dollars are not Federal Reserve debt notes. That never was a dollar. That's what made it unlawful. A real dollar is gold money, or gold-backed money, or any money that has the sovereign autograph that validates it as gold-backed money. It says, and gold coins having a recognized special value to collectors of rare and unusual coins. And this document is not very long, but I did want to go through it word for word so that we, as the government, can put it on the public record and make it the law for us and for everyone. Gold for our land, gold coin and bullion earmarked or held in trust for a recognized foreign government or foreign central bank or the Bank for International Settlements. This one I had to think through it. When we talk about a recognized foreign government, we're just saying other Moorish governments, you know, earthwide have a right to their own gold. Okay, if it's earmarked specifically for them and their gold coin and their bullion earmarked or held in trust for them, then that's theirs. Okay, the Bank for International Settlements is not the same as the Bank of International Settlements. The Bank for International Settlements is us, always has been. D, gold coin and bullion licensed for other proper transactions not involving hoarding, including gold coin and bullion imported for re-export or held pending action on applications for export licenses. And yes, we will be doing all of those things, export licenses, and we are going to do that in order to properly control the import, you know, what comes from those through our ports on our land. Okay.
Islam. I have another thing. For A, are we going to specify the small amount? Because small to some is, you know, large to others, and it's small to what they had previously. And that part, and then also for the people who have gone around the world excavating gold from like the Tuts and finding ships with, you know, gold and putting it in their, you know, mansions and whatever, what have you. Is that also part of this document?
Yes. So any gold previously, those who found it couldn't keep it. They actually, the military came in and took all of that and put it where it needed to be. They call it antiquities because it belongs to us. So any treasure trove finds and things like that, the military has already taken it and set it aside for us for this time. And when we make the right sound, like what we're doing, then it's already ours. And again, that gold, no matter where it is, this applies to it. It's ours. All we're doing really is saying on the public record that that we're going to be that any money issued on this land is backed by gold. That's really what we're saying. And that the banks, which is us, the custodians in the Office of Banks, is going to be issuing money based on any gold, I don't care where it is.
Seen or unseen?
Seen or unseen, it doesn't matter. It's still, because in reality, they can't, just imagine if you found a treasure trove of 4 King Tut masks. Who are you going to sell it to that don't turn you in? If you're a citizen and you're not from here, if you're not us, who are you going to sell that to, and what are they going to give you for it? And I'll say this, Empress, about that. I found out through watching their videos on YouTube about, treasure hunters and things like that. There's a whole series of videos out there about treasure hunters. And if you listen carefully to those videos, those folks will tell you that if they do anything crazy, they drop dead, they get shot, they go blind. If they do anything with our gold that they should not be doing, most of the time when they found it, they had to leave it where it was, especially if it was on this land, because there's much gold that has been found on the land, bars and big stashes and treasure troves of it, that if they took more than one, if they tried to take it and they weren't supposed to take it, even one briquette of it, something bad happened to them. They fell off the cliff trying to get down from it. I know one guy, the guy who was with him, who was his friend, shot him dead on the spot and didn't leave with any of the gold. I mean, just listen to that. Our gold and the things that belong to us have an energy on them that says no one can touch this but the heirs. And in the Bibliotheliotech, it talks about that. The silver is mine and the gold is mine, says the Lord, which is us. We told them that. Yeah, there's an energy that comes with all that we have and all that we do. Even, for example, Joseph Smith and those ones who came here and they said they were Mormons, because they were going to try and do things with gold, and because they knew we had a bunch of it and they found a lot of it, they couldn't do anything with it either. All they did was just, put it aside for when we wake up. They couldn't do anything with it, or they would actually be the wealthiest people out there, but they're not. They can't do anything with our stuff. There's an honor system in place that is universal and spiritual first. So,
such amount. And so are we going to distinguish what that amount would be?
Legitimate and customary use in industry. It would be a little bit difficult, not really difficult, but what we don't want to do in putting the law in place, and this is just from looking at the law, we have to think about the Moors who do jewelry and things like that. We don't want to limit them to $100. We don't really want to limit the heirs who do things like that, because it's their gold too. And Empress, I would say that we could revisit this at a later time and put an amount if things seem like it's going to go get out of hand or whatever. But there are jewelry makers and things like that, and persons like that are going to be making things for us, and we don't want to limit them. And then also legitimate and customary use. Our money most likely is going to have some amount of gold in it as well, the coinage and things, and we don't want to really state that you can't go over this or that, because we need to, we need to see more of it first before we start putting amounts, on anything. Because if we limit them, we'll be limiting ourselves, And so I want to be sure that we don't do that. And I will say this too, Empress. I'm glad that we're having this discussion, because as long as we've been on this earth plane, as long as anyone has been on this earth plane, they couldn't go anywhere and do anything with our gold. We've been asleep, and they still couldn't do anything.
God, it's not your goal.
No. So, she did say God, so we appreciate her acknowledgement of who we are. So we want to be sure that, and and she knows that we're God. Okay, anyway, the silver is ours and the gold is ours. So we want to be sure that we don't limit what can be done with it, because there is actually an unlimited amount. People say that it's not, but they just don't know what we know, what we've seen in the spirit realm. We actually can turn, we as alchemists can turn any metal into gold if we choose to. The Midas touch is real. That's not just made up. And in alchemy, we knew how to do that, and we still know how to do it. I've actually done some study on that too. And anything that's made of iron, we can turn it into gold. All it takes is ionization of the iron to a certain level, and it can be turned into gold. Anything can be turned into gold, really. Any metal can be turned into gold with the adding or removing of atomic matter.
Yep, Empress, I read that somewhere as well.
Yeah, the atomic matter. Monoatomic gold is gold that's made just from, it's in its base form. It's the purest. And then people add different atoms to it to make it harder or softer or whatever. We can do that with any. All we have to do is manipulate the atoms, the number of atoms. And that's a simple process for us. So, you know, there's more than enough. And that's another reason why we're doing what we're doing too. There's more than enough of everything on this estate so that we never have to argue about it. We never have to war. We never have to war with other states and nations over gold, because now the hybrids knew how much it was. That's why out of all of those foreigners, they've been arguing while we were in our sleep, and they still couldn't destroy anything or anyone per se because there's so much of it. And right before we woke up, they found a whole city in the Pacific Ocean right over here that has so much gold in it that our brothers from the East just posted ships out there and said, okay, we're not going to let anybody go in this part because all of this is gold right here, and we didn't even know this existed. They didn't even know. So it is important that we know that there is no lack on our estate, no lack whatsoever. So we were at section 3. Until otherwise ordered, any person becoming the holder or owner of any gold coin, gold bullion, or gold certificates after August 3rd, 1442/1443, shall, within 3 days after receipt thereof, deliver the same in the manner prescribed in section 2, unless such gold coin, gold bullion, or gold certificates are held for any of the purposes specified in paragraphs A, B, or C of section 2, or unless such gold coin or gold bullion is held for purposes specified in paragraph D of section 2, and the person holding it is, with respect to such gold coin or bullion, a licensee or applicant for license pending action thereon. And with regard to the license piece, as the gold comes to us more, because it is coming, it's already here, they've been waiting. As it comes, we produce the licenses for ourselves and we put them on the public record. And then we go from there with regard to the gold and what happens with it. Let's see. Section 4, upon receipt of gold coin, gold bullion, gold certificates delivered to her in accordance with sections 2 or 3. And I put her because our government has a matriarchal energy, but now that we're saying custodians in the office of, that actually makes more sense. Office of. So let's see, let me make sure that I put this in the right place. As we discussed previously, the custodians in the office of the Federal Reserve Bank delivered to the government in accordance. Is this language right here, are you all in agreement with this language, or can it be made better? Upon receipt of gold coin, gold bullion, or gold certificates delivered to the government in accordance with sections 2 or 3, the custodians in the office of the Federal Reserve Bank or member bank will pay therefore an equivalent amount of any other form of coin or currency coined or issued under the laws of the United States. Is it okay if I change the word under to in alignment with?
Islam, I have a question about upon receipt. So the receipt they're getting is for what purpose? For them to show that they had gold before we put this on the record?
Yes. So the receipt is going to be what they use to get the money that they get from the banks, which is actually doing our bidding. They're bringing the gold to the government, which is us, and then what they're doing is taking it to the bank, and the banks are just a collection or a repository for us because we're the bank. They're taking it to the custodians at the bank, and the custodians will give them a receipt, and with that receipt, they'll turn right around at the same time and hand that receipt back over and get whatever it is that they need to get, that the receipt says they are due based on the amount of gold that they turned in.
Ah, okay.
And
so essentially, we're giving them value for them having the gold before we woke up.
Yes.
So we're essentially letting them keep the value.
Yes, they're keeping the value, but Empress, remember that the majority of this, it'll be the Moors turning it in, not any foreigners. It'll be us. So when you think about what we're doing, think about it from our perspective.
Yeah, because I told my family to buy gold and silver. So with that said, that makes sense because my baby sister asked, like, so what do I do with this gold? What am I going to do with it? I can't buy groceries. But now that this is on the record and we're making this the law of the land, that's how she'll be able to use her gold because the BI debt reserve notes were useless.
Yes. Yes.
So it was essentially a repository of her taking her notes and buying the gold so she can keep value on some form.
Yes. And the reason why we're not saying silver is because the initial metal that the money is based on, that comes in stages and phases, and gold must be first according to the Constitution. Gold has to be first.
It's fine.
And then silver will come later. So if you'll remember, and I'll just say this just as a point of fact, the gold standard, quote unquote, according to the corporates, now this is not according to us, but according to the corporates, it ended in 1933, somewhere along there. And then in 1971, the silver was that was the silver thing that Nixon supposedly acted out. Okay, so those are different. Those were different standards. Silver will be included at some point. We have to get the gold done first. And this, yeah, Islam.
No problem.
Islam. Thank you, Empress, for the detailed attention so that we don't miss anything. Islam.
Islam.
Yes, so anyone who had it before, and it'll be mostly Moors doing it, Section 5, member bank.
I'm sorry, Islam, you wanted to go over the word under. You wanted to see if that word should be changed.
Thank you. We usually say in alignment with the laws for the United States because we're not under anything or anyone. And I always want to be sure that that language is corrected in everything that we say and do. They were under it, that's why they wrote it that way. But that's, to me, a little bit of corruption that needs to come out of it. So is everyone okay with that staying in alignment with the laws for the United States?
Yes, we can put in alignment also.
Yes, I think that'll be more appropriate.
Thank you, Islam. With the laws for the United States. Islam,
may I add something?
Sure.
And this is not a solid statement, but I'm thinking that the Constitution was written for them because normally we treat with other nations, but because they are not a nation, we wrote the Constitution.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking. So there's otherwise, if it wasn't for that, we would be writing treaties. We wouldn't be writing a constitution. So, so that's my understanding on why we're not under the Constitution, but we're aligned with it because this is something special for them, so that we can, so they can be able to function on our land. Because otherwise, I haven't even, otherwise to me there would be no Constitution. We'd be treating with other nations.
Yeah.
Islam makes sense.
Yes.
Islam, that makes sense. And Empress, I was distracted a little bit. Did we address the comment that Akil easily ill put in the chat there?
Thank you for pointing it out. I have not looked at the chat in a minute. Let me just you say to the office for indicating that of means without.
And I would be in agreement with saying in the office for.
We can say that if you want to. Because of is coming from this state, it means what we say it means. But we can change it if you want to change it. If you all feel that it's necessary to change it, we can do that. So this is I'm just the coordinator and I'm just typing it up. But we all have to agree.
I can go either way.
Feels like extra security.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels like extra security. I can't speak.
Okay. Remember too, as we're that will make those of us who know that when they use the word of, it means without, that will make us feel better. But we still have to know that when we say it, it means what we say it means. So that's some comfort language that we're putting in there to make ourselves feel more comfortable. But at the beginning and end of the day, it still means what we intend for it to mean. And I'm speaking to myself first, because when I as I'm writing documents and things like that, initially when I first started writing documents, it would take me weeks to do documents because I was so busy trying to be so thorough. And the ancestor said, it's your intention. Yes, it's the words you use, but it's your intention also. So,
and we kind of took care of that already when we changed the word and put it in ancient English and in red. So we've already changed the meaning of of on the public record, and so
Sure did. Sure did. We sure did.
So the spell has been cast above, so we're just being manifested down below.
Yes, Islam. Yes, indeed. I think I forgot a couple of E's here too. Let's see. Oh, let's see by them. And we do want to put custodians in the office for member banks. Shall deliver all gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates owned or received by them. May I add the word held, owned, or received? Because yes, some of us will be in those positions, so it will be ownership. And then for those of us if there are some custodians in the office of, they may be holders. So is it okay if I add the word holders, held, owned, or received by them?
Islam, I agree.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam sounds good to me.
Islam. Are there any objections to that? Okay. It says held, owned, or received by them other than as exempted under the provisions of Section 2 to the Federal Reserve banks of their respective districts and receive credit or payment therefore. This is important, Morris, because we've been talking about the credit and the creditors, and at any time we should be able to get lawful money credited to, or lawful credits credited to our accounts at any time. Here I'm going to add custodians in the office for as well, based on our previous discussion. Federal Reserve banks of their respective districts and receive credit or payment therefore. Okay, and this one, the secretaries for the Treasury, which is all of us. That's why I changed it to plural, because that could be any one of us or all of us on any given day. And we'll be more specific as things come in. Okay, so some of us will be the secretaries for the Treasury for our district or our territory, or our state, which is the several states that are aligned with that are a part of the Empire State. So I just made all of this plural. The secretaries for the Treasury out of the sum made available to the presidents. And presidents is again presidents of the who are fiduciaries for the state. To the presidents by Section 501 of the law for March 9, 1933, will in all proper cases pay the reasonable cost of transportation of gold coin, gold bullion, or gold certificates delivered to the custodians in the office for member banks. Let's make sure we put that. A member bank or Federal Reserve bank in accordance with Section 2, 3, or 5 hereof, including the cost of insurance, protection, and such other incidental costs as may be necessary upon production of satisfactory evidence of such costs. Voucher forms for this purpose may be procured from custodians in the office for Federal Reserve banks. When we talk about this, I thought this through with regard to transportation costs, and this is what is proving to be the case for everything that we do. when I thought about our courts and our postmaster general duties, and now here are secretaries for the Treasury and our president duties and things like that, and the transportation and all of that, that is what the driver license that we talked about in the last meeting is going to deal with, okay? It's going to make it so that we're transporting lawfully in our own state doing what we do, okay? If I have to get into my government conveyance and take some gold that we have dug up or whatever we do, however the gold comes, and take it to our banking location, I'm willing to do that. So when I thought about this here, saying that we would cover the cost of transporting and everything, that's what I was just thinking. I'll do whatever it takes. We've never been this far before in this era, so we don't really know what that's going to look like. We do know what it's going to look like. It just hasn't been shown to us yet what that's going to look like, but I'm willing to do anything to get, and I know we don't have to do anything, but I'm willing to do what it takes to get things the way they should be. So where the secretaries for the Treasury and the presidents are concerned, those who don't want to take on the responsibility of this Section 6, you don't have to. The government will do it though. So it's just a matter of those who step up and say, hey, I'll be a secretary for the Treasury, or I'll be president for this territory, this district, or for the all. It's just a matter of who wants to do it.
Empress, you know, I don't know if any of the other Moors have seen this, but I saw a commercial from the Federal Reserve System. You know, that's what they were saying. There's Federal Reserve System, but that you could purchase gold, silver, and titanium with fiat. So I'm just wondering if maybe that's something, since, you know, we have Delarium, maybe if that's their way of opening up for us to, you know, for them to transfer inheritance. Because I know that
about what they say. Because what they say and what they do is always two different things.
Isn't it? Yes.
What they're doing is virtue signaling. That's called virtue signaling. They're giving the appearance of doing the right things because they know the right things are upon them. We're bringing it forth, and they don't have a choice but to do the right things. I think that may just be a collection issue where they're making sure they collect all the rest of the fiat off the land, and they're not giving the people anything per se. You know, I won't go there because that's a whole other issue about what they actually give people. But what they say and what they do, two different things. Everybody knows that, and that's another reason why we're so wide awake, is because they've been saying things and not doing it. You know.
Yeah.
They're not going to give, because see, gold has to be substance for substance. And I'll say this about that, Empress. If they could have done that, they would have done that.
Right.
They would have done that a long time ago if they really could. But they can't. Because gold, it has to be substance for substance.
That makes sense.
And yeah. So, there is an element to what we're doing whereby those who've been good stewards over what they had in their sleep, there is a transfer mechanism there. We have not, I know I've not really looked at that transfer mechanism because there are so many Moors who don't have any, who didn't have anything because they didn't realize, they didn't know who they were. So they don't have a lot of fiat to transfer over and get all this gold and then, you know, all of that. They don't have that. So I'm thinking from that perspective of we want everyone to be able to be comfortable and enjoy the estate. You know, some of us could go and, you know, get a home equity loan or something like that and just go and buy up a bunch of stuff. But that's not, to me, that defeats the purpose of freedom for everybody. It defeats the purpose because some did not do that. They didn't, you know, or they went through a divorce and lost the home, and now they don't have the ability to get the things that they want to get with the fiat. And that's been the problem. It's been so inequitable when we're the heirs that it's important for us to, you know, they're not going to give any gold for any fiat like that. They don't have any gold. That's number one. And anything they thought they had, we just took it. Oops.
Right.
So, Section 7, in cases where the delivery of gold coin, gold bullion, or gold certificates by the holders or owners thereof within the time set forth above will involve extraordinary hardship or difficulty, the Secretaries for the Treasury, at their discretion, extend the time within which such delivery must be made. Applications for such extensions must be made in writing under oath or affirmation, addressed to the Secretaries for the Treasury and filed with a custodian in the office of Office 4, Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve Bank. Each application must state the date to which the extension is desired, the amount and location of the gold bullion, gold coin, or gold certificates in respect of which such application is made, and the facts showing extension to be necessary to avoid extraordinary hardship or difficulty. So that's just for people who live way out in the middle of nowhere, so to speak, and they have gold and they can't get to the bank within that 3-day period. They can file for an extension. Section 8, the Secretaries for the Treasury are hereby authorized and empowered to issue such further regulations. May I change this word to laws? Issue such further laws as they may deem necessary to carry out the purposes of this law, and to issue licenses thereunder through such offices or agencies as they may designate, including licenses permitting the custodians in the office of the Federal Reserve banks and member banks for the Federal Reserve System in return for an equivalent amount of other coin, currency, or credit to deliver, earmark, or hold in trust gold coin and bullion to or for persons showing the need for the same for any other purposes specified in paragraphs A, C, and D of Section 2 of these regulations. So that's quite a bit of updating to this Section 8 that I probably should have thought about before putting it up here. Empowered. Secretaries for the Treasury hereby authorized and empowered to issue such further regulations as they may deem necessary to carry out the purposes of this law. You know that movie Law and Order? They were trying to tell us there that it's either got to be one or the other, but we would have had to think that through. That's the difference between what we do and what they do. And then with Secretaries for the Treasury, we would just meet on these calls. Islam, I see that in the chat. Okay, it's been unlocked. Okay. So we will meet on these calls and just decide further what we want to do.
Angel Bay, Angel, we really want to know about your new car, Angel Bay. Why aren't you telling anybody?
We want to ensure that, you know, we come together on these calls and we meet and govern as is Islam. So where secretaries of the Treasury deeming things are necessary, we'll just decide together like we've been doing. And we'll go from there. As this all unfolds, we'll go from there. And then the final, let's see, designate including licenses permitting the.
It's all phony anyway, so it's pretend.
The custodian. Just one moment. Let me get the actors. What's funny is they never say that fiat is fake. Like, did you forget about that? Okay, so let's see, including licenses permitting the Federal Reserve banks and member banks for the Federal Reserve System in return for an equivalent amount of other coins to carry out the purpose and to issue licenses thereunder through such officers or agencies as they. Yeah, I was going to change this to they may designate because we do this together. I just feel that it's important that we do this together. That way, you know, if one of us decides to take a vacation to Aruba, the government continues. So is everyone okay with this being changed to they may designate? Because we'll just keep doing it together. Are you okay with that? Since we, you know, we're doing it together. Islam. Okay. Including licenses permitting the Federal Reserve banks and member banks for the Federal Reserve System in return for an equivalent amount of other coin, currency, or credit to deliver, earmark, or hold in trust gold coin and bullion to or for persons showing the need for the same for any of the purposes specified in paragraphs A, C, and D of Section 2 of these regulations. So, equivalent amount of other. So whenever people bring in gold coin, gold bullion, or currency, or credit, or anything, it can be earmarked or held in trust by the banks, which is us, really. And the custodians in the Office of Bank will be doing those duties of ensuring that everything is held in trust when the people bring it in. And our banks are always backed by trust, but we stated that at the top of the page also, that our full faith and trust in our credit is hereby vested in ourselves. So we've addressed that at the top of the page as well. And then Section 9, whoever willfully violates any article of this executive law or of these laws or of any rule, regulation, or license issued thereunder may be fined not more than $10,000, or if a natural person, and you know what, I didn't even put that in there about the natural person, it was put in there by them back then. Or if a natural person may be imprisoned for not more than 10 years or both, and any officer, director, or agent of any corporation who knowingly participates in any such violation may be punished by a like fine, imprisonment, or both. This order and these regulations may be modified or revoked at any time. And that was put at the end of this Okay. So, are we prepared to vote this into law today, or do you want another week to look at it, or having gone through it, are we prepared to put it on the public record today?
Islam. I have a question pertaining to the licenses and things. It's looking to me like we're going to have to go and specify how licensing and permits of the Federal Reserve is going to be delegated, and to how much authority those licenses come with, and such.
I like the way you're thinking, Empress. We don't have to reinvent the wheel if the Federal Reserve Act outlines that.
Oh, okay. Well, essentially, then yes, we still got to take away the corporational and dead language out of them too.
We actually put the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 on the public record a while back, but we can revisit it if you'd like to revisit it. If we need to revisit it, we can. But we took all the corruption out of it and put it on the public record a while back. But we can go do it again. We can look through it again and see.
Okay.
Islam, I'd like to revisit.
Islam. We can. Are you saying revisit the Federal Reserve Act or revisit this?
The Federal Reserve Act. Islam.
And all of those wanting to revisit it, just look back through it over the week, and then we'll discuss it again, the Federal Reserve Act again, at that time. At whatever time you all deem that we can.
Otherwise, I say yay to vote on this at this time.
Islam, are there any objections to us voting on it to put it on the public record as the law?
I agree.
Does that mean that you want to go ahead and vote on it today? Or did you want to wait until to put it on the public record?
Let's vote now.
I think we should go ahead and vote on it, because we have so much to do. We don't need to keep putting things off for a later day. If we can decide on it at that time, I think that we should do it.
Yeah, I'm glad it was only 9 points instead of 56 points or something like that.
I concur.
Yes, so there's
in the chat, excuse me, Empress, someone said they needed to read it again.
Okay. Let's see.
Maybe we can find out what part they were that the Empress Carolyn was not clear on, and maybe we can go over it again now.
Mm-hmm. Empress Carolyn, do you is there a specific part that you needed to see again, or?
Okay. I would just like to read it again, and I usually take 3 days to decide on anything, but I'll just like to read it again.
Islam. Okay. Here. Now, does that mean that you want to wait to vote on it, or does that? I'm not sure I understand.
Yes, yes, that means that I want to wait.
Okay. So let us take a vote on voting on it today then, because we do have someone who's expressed that they want to read it again before voting, and we will just go with whatever the majority says with regard to voting on it today, if that's okay with you, Mobility.
Absolutely.
Islam. So let us take a vote on, for those who want to vote on it today, if you could state your appellation and territory and say yay if you want to vote on it today, or say no if you want to wait to vote on it.
Islam, Angelica Dobbs Bay, and Mohawk Providence, yay to vote today.
Islam, Angela Bay, and Ohio Territory agreed to put it on record today.
Katali Zilpa L for the Khalifa Territory.
Yay.
First Empress Chatali and then Empress Cynthia, because her voice came in first.
Chatali says yay.
Okay. Yay vote today. Okay. Go ahead, Empress Cynthia.
Justice Cynthia Ann Bay, Khalifa Territory, yay. Islam.
Okay.
Karima Bay, Virginia Territory, yay. Vote on it today.
Islam.
Nabi Chandra Bay, Mahat Ale, Texas Territory, yay.
Okay, Empress. I'm sorry, Empress, could you state your appellation again?
AG, Nabi
Yes.
Chandra Bay,
Yes.
Mahat Ale.
Islam. Thank you, Empress.
Islam.
And there was a noble who was speaking at the same time. Could you state your appellation again?
More people, Freeman, Maryland Territory, yay. Put on the record today.
Yes, Islam.
Orlando Bay, Trinidad Territory, yay, vote today.
Islam. And then there are some. Go ahead, Nobility.
She Akron, Kinnaland, yeah.
Islam.
Islam. That was the Bay, Potomac Territory, yay. Islam.
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 Yes.
Bay, Illinois Territories, yay.
Islam.
Islam. Many praises and high honors to everyone. Rahim Allah Bay, New York Territory, yay today.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility. Are there any other votes for yay? And now we'll say the nays as well because we want to honor everyone's vote. We see in the chat Justice Michael Dumas McGee Bay, yay. Empress Danielle Robin of Jersey Territory, nay. So we want to make sure that we note that. Empress Rosalind, Spiritus Bay, Minnesota Territory, yay. And Noble Arthur Bennett, L Bay, South Carolina Territory, yay. Glad to see you, Noble Arthur. Okay, are there any nay votes, the no votes? If you would please state your appellation, and that way we can count them. Okay, and Justice J. Michael is yay. And Justice Raymond is nay. And Empress Carolina Wiggins L, was that a nay for both of you? Because I heard your consort say something. It was either your consort or your, okay, Empress Carolyn Linda Wiggins says nay. Okay. Brother Smith Bay is a yay. Are there any other votes? We want to be sure that we vote.
Go ahead. Islam.
Islam.
Kahusia Jehuti by N. Will.i.am Shu Il. Give a yay.
Islam. Thank you, nobility.
Islam, Angela Bay, Ohio Territory, yay.
Yeah, we got you the first time, Empress.
Oh,
we heard you. Yeah,
I didn't hear you.
I'm taking notes here.
Yeah, all right.
Because we have to have a majority, so I generally just keep a count. Let's see. Islam.
Islam, Helmsprado, L, Mississippi Territory. Yay.
Islam, Empress. Thank you. So there was a noble who was saying something.
Willie Irvin Smith Bay, Mississippi Territory. Yay.
Islam. Okay. Noble Willie. Islam. And Empress Rahima, I believe we have you, unless, are there two? There is, let's see, I want to be sure. Let me look on the roster, just to be sure. I see two. There's Empress Rima Bay. There's Empress. And then there is a Rahima L. And then there's a Rahim Allah Bay. I want to be sure that the three of you, if it is indeed three, I want to be sure that we, okay, because I see that we don't double count.
Islam, I can speak because I can verify that Rahim and Rahima are two separate people. Rahim is a male and Rahima is a female.
Perfect. And that's what I was thinking, because I see Justice Rahima's vote in the chat.
And my email is the MAG Consultants.
And we have your vote, Empress. Thank you. We want to just make sure, because, okay. Okay, so 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We have, and I'm going to vote yay on, on voting today. We have a total of 22 yays, and we have 3 nays. So, for everyone who wants to read the document again, we will go ahead and vote to put it on the public record today. And what we'll do is, for those who want to read it again before you agree that this is what you want, know this, that you always have the option for it not to apply to you if there's something in it that you see that you don't care for, because you're sovereign still at the end of the day. Yes, we're doing all of this together, but if at any time you feel that that this is not what you want to say, then it doesn't have to apply to you. So what we'll do is put it on the public record, and then I'll autograph it, and I'll also put it, in fact, why don't I do this? Why don't I take this document? Okay, I'm not going to try and do anything fancy right now. What we'll do is I will print the document off and autograph it and put it up. And I'll put the link to it on my Facebook page sometime between now and tomorrow, or now and the next day or two. I will put the link to this document with my autograph on it as well on social media. And that way, those who want to look at the document again, you can look at the document again and see what it is that you know, so that you have a clear understanding. And for those who voted nay, we get it, we understand, because some signs and, you know, the astrological signs like to see things in hand first and just look, you know, so we get that. So let's go ahead, and since we have a majority yay, we'll go ahead and vote now that to make this the law for us. And then those who did not want to do it just yet, there will be a copy of it on the public record for you to review again. Okay.
Islam Empress, can you state the unlocking of the phones one time? Because there's some brothers who just texted me and their phone is still muted. They wanted to vote as well with the yays. So what's the code to unmute?
*6 is
*6. Okay, so you hear that, brother? *6 and unmute your phone so your voice and energy can be given.
Please, yes, please. *6. So that we can count your vote. We want to count yours too. We need your energy, by the way. We love the energy. Thank you. Thank you, Empress Angel, for putting that forth. We want to make sure we hear from everybody.
Islam, my pleasure.
And if they're having any problems technologically with unmuting, just let me know, and I can see if I'll find them and unmute them from this end. But they can unmute themselves. *6.
Islam Empress?
Yes, Islam.
For the empresses and nobles that said nay, they wanted to reread the document. As a suggestion, maybe we can set a date where we can revisit this again per whatever information that you're going to present, and maybe like the first 20 minutes or whatever, they can, you know, express what they want to correct or change about the document, and then, I don't know, and move forward from there.
Yes, that's beautiful, Empress. Everything that we put out on the public record will be revisited. That is what governing is we look at things and put the law out there because we need to keep speaking. And then we will always, as the processes unfold and as the estate unfolds, we will come back and revisit what we've done. And that's why we put it on the public record the way that we do. Is so that we have a record that it's the law, but then we come back and look back a year from now or 6 months from now, and in this case, if the three Moors who did not, who wanted to see the document again, if they find something in the document that they are not comfortable with or want to bring up or put some add some wisdom to the document, then we're always open for that. That is what governing is we come together and we agree, or we agree to disagree, or we put the documents on the public record, together. As long as we're doing together, I'm good with however we do it. Empress Tiffany, we have your vote.
Islam. The number is ending in 0900. That's for they need to be unmuted for their phone.
Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, let me see if I can do it from here. Let's see. 0900. I just saw it. There it is. He's just a moment. He's unmuted. Nobility, you can say whatever is on your with regard to the voting. Islam, we can hear you.
Islam?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, Brother Mikaz. You all counsel? Yeah, I was hearing the conversation. It's I agree. I say yes.
To voting today?
You heard me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just voted.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Nobility. We were voting to see if we were going to vote today. Now we actually have to take the actual vote. Okay, so we do need to hear from you, Nobility. So if it's okay with you, I'll just leave you unmuted so that we can introduce the vote, put it on the table, and then everyone state their vote. Right. So we did have it unanimously, and that makes it 23, and actually 24 with Empress Tiffany. Stating her vote in the chat. So we have it unanimous to go ahead and vote on making this a law for our government and for our state. So those in favor of this gold confiscation law being placed on the public record as the law for our nation, please state your appellation and your territory and your vote. We'll take the yays first, and then we'll take the nays after that. And the reason we do it that way is because yay and nay sound similar. And so we want to make sure that we get all of the yays first and all of the nays secondly. Okay. So everyone voting yay, please state your appellation and your territory.
Islam. Angelica Yvette Dobbs Bay, Mohawkachuk, Providence. Yay.
Islam.
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 Kahusia, Jehuti, Ba'in, will.i.am Shu'il, Manahana Territory. Yay, yay.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Colorado and Mississippi Territory. Vote yay.
Yes, Islam.
Islam. Islam.
Islam, Nobility.
Morpheus, Pascal, Humphrey, Nell, Maryland Territory. Yay.
Islam. There's some music in someone's background. If you could mute, please, wherever that music is coming from. Islam. Okay. Continue. We have 3 yays thus far.
Akil Kanimbi Easley L. Philadelphia Territory. Yay.
Islam. 4 actually.
Angela Bay, Ohio Territory. Yay.
Islam.
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 Seall, Coinbase, Canada, yeah.
Islam.
Islam. Orlando Bay, Trinidad Territory. Yay.
Karima Divanisha LaShawn L. Bay, Virginia Territory. Yay.
Islam. Thank you.
Brother Smith Bay, Pennsylvania Territory. Yay.
Thank you. Islam.
Malik Akil Bay, Illinois Territories. Yay.
Islam.
Islam. Rahim Allah Bay, New York Territory. Yay.
Islam.
Islam. Whatever. Smith Bay, Mississippi Territory. Yay.
Islam.
You thought that shit would not come over here?
Islam.
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 Tiffany Renee Harris Bay. Yay.
Islam. Thank you, Empress.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Jade Michael.
Ibn Allah Bay.
There was one noble who spoke before you, Justice Ibn. If you could hold for just one moment and let's hear from that noble, and then you can state your vote.
Islam.
There was Islam.
Justice Jade Michael, L. Illinois Territory, yay.
Yay, Islam. Okay. And Justice Ibn, may we hear your vote?
Islam. Love Ibn Allah Bay, New York Territory.
And what is your vote, Nobel?
I was just calling in. Excuse me?
Oh, we're in the middle of a vote. Okay. Oh, okay. Islam. Thank you.
So, yeah, I'm in the middle of it too. Yeah, I'm saying.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your vote, Islam. And we're glad you're here, Islam. And then I am recording the votes that are in the chat. Empress Tiffany, we have your vote already here on the list. Justice Dawood, yay. Justice Arthur, yay. Empress Rosalind, yay. And then Brother Smith Bay, we have you already as well, I believe. Yes, we do. Are there any other votes?
Islam, A.G. Nabi Chandra Bay, Mahat El, Texas Territory, yay.
Thank you, Empress.
Islam.
Justice Cynthia Ann Bay, Califia Territory, yay.
Islam. Thank you, Empress.
Islam.
Islam.
Musa Jubei, Memphis, Tennessee Territory, yay.
Yay. Islam. Okay. We want to take, is that all of the yay votes? Because we do want to make sure that we put, introduce the nay votes, because we have to put them on the record. Absolutely, Islam. Okay, all those that are not in favor of the law going on the public record today, if you would please vote. Islam, state your appellation and your territory, and then your vote. Islam.
Maybe we can say Virginia Territory, undecided.
Islam. Thank you, nobility. And thank you for being bold enough to speak that, because I know it's, for some that would be difficult to do, but this is a process that involves all of us and our truth. So thank you for that. Islam.
Carolyn Linda Wiggins, AL, Alabama Territory, undecided.
Islam. Thank you, Empress. Appreciate you. Appreciate your energy. Islam. Are there any other votes, either yay or nay? Because I think let me see. I'll vote too. Light to Jure Bay, Seattle, Washington Territory, yay. That makes 24 yays and 2 undecided. And are there any other votes? We want to be sure that we honor all sovereign votes in this process. Islam, and we did get the votes that are in the chat.
Okay, Islam.
Islam. Okay. So the gold confiscation law of 1442, 1443, and 2022 is the law for the Empire State of Morocco, which is the Moroccan estate, and the Moorish National Republic federal government, the Moorish American Consulate, and the Moorish American Consular Court, as well as the United States for America, Islam. Islam. So we will put this on the public record, and then again, those who needed to see it again, we honor your energy and your detailed thoroughness, and so we will put it on the public record as well so that you can see it. I have started another public records page that I can point you to. I'll put the link to it under this video, and I got to write that down because sometimes I say I'm going to put the link and sometimes I forget to do the link part, but I'm just going to write a note. Link to public records page. Okay. So with that being said, there was only one other item that we were going to do. We were going to continue. Thank you so much, first of all. Let me just say that before I move any further. Thank you for your vote. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is what governing is. This is what governing is made of. And no one can doubt our allegiance to our nation because we vote. So we were going to, last time during our call, we started out doing the definitions, the Universal Commercial Code definitions. There are more definitions that we did not get to today because these matters came forth. In particular, the vote came forth. So if you all want, we can do a few of those, or we can pick it back up on Sunday, and we'll just go ahead and schedule a meeting for Sunday, so that way we can talk about, we can go through those, any definitions that we did not get to today, because we did say we were going to go through those definitions. And I would encourage you to look at the uniform commercial codes and everything, and think about the Delarium, and think about our banking and all that we're doing, because I'm telling you, we can do what everything that we've said is in there already. All we have to do is that will probably be our next vote. It will be once we look over the uniform commercial code. So please be looking over them now, especially for more that where you like to take a detailed look and you know, do the definitions and things like that. Go ahead and be looking at the uniform commercial codes. I'll put a link to them in the chat because that is the next vote that we want to take. So let me grab a link really quickly to that if I can. Let me see if I can find that here. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So with this vote that we have put on the record today, just know that we have gold backing our Delarium. We just put it on the record where that gold is. So any persons holding gold or saying that they're holding or owning gold, that gold belongs to the government. And here in the chat is the link to the uniform commercial codes that we're going to be elevating and putting it on the public record at the due time. So please be looking at them. We will go through them, even though we may not go through all of them, and that's another reason, so that if you have any questions about the Universal Commercial Code or Uniform Commercial Codes before we go ahead and elevate them to Universal, all together into Universal Commercial Codes, be looking over them and write your questions down so that we can discuss it together so that we can do that process together, because they do need to be made universal by this body specifically, so that we can continue to move forward at commerce and merchant actions as a neutral, peaceful, protective power. And if you that whole label there, it's not really a label. It's just that label comes from the Geneva Convention. So if you want to go ahead and take a look at those two, because we'll be discussing those as well, because they have a lot to do with those who are currently incarcerated that are a part of our nation. The Geneva Conventions is what they've been holding everyone under. That's another something that we wanted to talk about. And we were going to talk about that today because it's important, but we'll get into it in the future. The Geneva Conventions, we were thinking that they were holding people under one set of codes and statutes, but really they've been holding people under Geneva Convention things that have to do with that. So there are 4 Geneva Conventions from 1949, I believe it is. They were all approved on the same day and by the corpses, which means it's still not really the law. But we'll talk about that some more. It's worth looking at if you have someone, and we all do. We have Moors that are incarcerated. They are part of our family. They are part of our kin, and they are in our thoughts, and they're why we're doing everything that we're doing. Our heirs and those who have been taken, and detained. So with that being said, the link again is in the chat to the Uniform Commercial Codes. Please be studying them and looking over them so that when we get ready to discuss them, if you have any questions, just let us know. Yes, in the chat, Empress Ma'at-El, Empress Nabi Ma'at-El, she asked, are we open to looking at the uniform trust codes as well? Absolutely, yes. That is part of governing. We are, and our trust is already active. Everything that we have is registered to our trust. And what is our trust? Our trust is each other. It's an express trust. All of our property is there already. The gold that we just voted on is all in that trust already. So yes, we are absolutely. Empress Nabi, do you have a link to the Uniform Trust Codes that we can start looking in that direction as well?
Islam, I can get that to you.
Thank you, Empress. And we will make sure that we start looking at that as well, the Uniform Trust Codes, because we need to elevate that up to universal as well. We're the only ones who can elevate something and call it a universal trust code, because that's what they were before. And then the foreigners hypothecated and corrupted what we called universal. They took it and made it uniform, which means it is a form of the law, but it's not the law. It's a form. Uniform is one form or one kind, because they are man form or mankind. And then, we are universal. Universe means one word. That means in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word is God, and God is all of us. Islam. Are there any other wisdom, comments, or anything of that nature? Because if not, what we'll do is adjourn here. Islam? Islam.
I just wanted to make mention of the planet alignment.
Yes.
So I'm really happy to be getting as much as we can at this period in time. So I think it would, sort of speed things up for us. Anyway,
yes.
Peace and love to all.
Yes, Empress, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. I believe that that's why the information is coming so quickly, because the downloads, we're just flooded with downloads, and I love our ancestors, the way that they do that. And it has everything to do with the estate and manifesting and pushing forward with regard to manifesting all that we know already belongs to us. And that planetary alignment, there are 5 planets plus the moon and the sun that are all aligned together, which hasn't happened for thousands of years. Thousands of years. This close together and for this length of time. And also the solstice was June 21st. And so we want to continue to use that energy to move us forward as well. And in fact, the energy comes from us first, and then it goes up there and causes the planets to align. And so, you know, we just want to keep moving in that energy. That's why we're putting forth the things that we're putting forth. And there's no time like the present to govern the things that belong to us. The energies are matching up for that reason, because we are competent to govern and fit to govern this vast estate. We're already doing it. So thank you for that. And the cosmology and the astrology of it has everything to do with it. Everything to do with it. So with that being said,
Islam Empress?
Islam Empress. Yes, Islam.
Yes, I wanted to thank all the Moors that sent their positive energies while I was detained. I mean, I felt it, and I'm just really so grateful to be out and to be, wow. So
I'm glad to hear your voice out here, Empress. I'm glad to hear you out here, because we talked about she was detained, and she just, if I can say she kicked some butt in there, she did.
Oh my goodness! Wow, I felt all the energy. You know, wow, it was great. Yes, thank you. I love you all.
You were out. We told you that you were going with that energy. They can't hold you with that kind of energy, because you were not mad at them or anything like that. You were just standing on your square. Period. No matter what.
Period. That was just it. And we let them go past that. I mean, it was wow. It's some funny things that happened, but it just really let me see how, you know, to really know how powerful we are, you know, and they really knew what sovereign was about, and that wow, it is really about your energy. It really is. It really is. And they were acting, and it was just wow.
You know, Empress, only an Empress that just kicked that thing could actually be giggling a little bit about it, because I try not to giggle too hard about the POW demonstrations that I did. But when you think about some of the stuff you see in there, it's crazy how powerful we are.
Yes.
We're so powerful, and all we have to do is stand and just be determined that no matter what, we're not getting off that square.
Wow. Yes. They did so much. They just had me going back and forth. Kept on, and I'm telling you, I kept giving them those court demonstrations. Just, you know, put everything into our jurisdiction, letting them know. You know, judge was like, "Oh, wait a minute, well, I'm the law." I was like, you know, he said, "I'm the judge." I said, "The Creator God does not even judge me. Who are you?" He said, "Well, I'm the law." I said, "But I'm the law." Oh, it was something.
I just love it. I just love it. We giggled so while she was doing her demonstrations, because she was just kicking butt in there, and she, you know, and that's how a demonstration should be done. Just get in there and stand on your square no matter what, and you gonna come out victorious. Period. And soon after we talked, I got that call, and she was like, "I'm out." Like, yeah, I knew it. I knew you would be, because it's the energy that our ancestors look for in those types of demonstrations. You know,
I forgive you. We forgive you. We forgive you.
You can't stay. They can't keep you when you like that.
No. Every time you call me into your defunct company, corporation, I said, it is now inheritance, a transfer of inheritance meeting.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh, yes, wow.
Yeah. Some of the things you see, that is stuff that nobody can tell you. You actually have to experience it to believe it. You have to experience it to believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, even the first time I went in there, and I won't go too far into that because we talk about it so often, but even the first POW demonstration I did in 2017, the first time, that was my first time ever seeing a fake judge take off the robe and throw the robe was on the floor next to him, and he was sitting down instead of up on the big podium up there. And I'm like, what? And he just asked me one question. He said he put his hands on his head like this. He said, "I guess you're going to represent yourself tomorrow." I said, "I present myself." And it was, and then they sent me back to my, or they didn't send me. I went back to my cell. It was just, it's amazing. And that's not something somebody can tell you about. You actually have to experience it. And once you experience it, you will know that we are the most powerful on the earth, period. Don't even matter.
Here and there, remember, we do the all rise and stand and remain standing in perpetuity. Everyone in there was standing. Already leaned. They were standing. The lawyers, they, call themselves being lawyers, like, there's nothing I can do. I have to recluse myself and my firm. I stand as an advisor. But she's put it on the record. She said it time and time and time. I mean, everybody. I was just, wow, I'm looking over like, oh, that's that one lawyer from 2 years ago. It was judges. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Fake. They was all fake. You was the real judge and lawyer, which means, oh, God. Okay, we spell it Lawyah.
Yes.
Listen, when the real God stand up, they can't do anything, and people don't believe. Some don't believe me when I say they got to yield to the Moors, but when we stand, they got to yield. Period. Yes. Period. Yes. Period.
Yes.
Empress, I will say that you got me dancing on cloud 9, Empress. just because I knew, and now without me telling you,
Yes.
Because of your own standing on your own sovereign, that's it. It's over. Anyone who do that, it's over for the fakes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No more fear. There was no fear.
And I'm the same way, Empress. No fear. No fear. We're good. We're good. We know it's a test.
It's a test.
So Islam. With that being said, I'm so glad you're back, Empress. I'll just say it for the 10th time. You're probably gonna hear me say that 100 more times, but I'm so glad you're back, and I love you so much, and I'm glad you stand. I'm glad you stand. Because that's just something nobody can tell us. We actually have to stand and experience it.
Right.
I'm preparing, on another note but similar, I'm preparing a demonstration where we render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and we will talk about that demonstration in the coming weeks as well on how to do that, because that has to be done. It has to be done where we create our own documents that match point for point, and then we hand everything back to Caesar. And really, Caesar is not even here anymore, so we're really just handing it back to the custodians. So, and that includes, that's going to include birth certificates, social security cards, all the stuff they issue, military IDs, all of that stuff is going back to them. And the ancestors kind of are tailoring that message so that the message comes out the right way. So, we don't make any quick moves, sudden moves without knowing what the outcome is going to be. We want to know what the outcome is beforehand. I know what it is, and I'm prepared for it. And we'll talk about that at a later time. And for those who are not ready to do it, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You can do it. You can do it when you're ready. And if you're never ready to do it, then you don't ever have to do it. Okay, so any of the demonstrations that we do, each sovereign is sovereign enough to opt in and opt out at their will. Okay. Islam. Empress that just sent the I'm on WhatsApp, so for those who may have been sending text messages and things like that, you can contact me on WhatsApp at my number. It's 334-294-9828, and I am on WhatsApp. And we're doing the phone demonstration, so we're putting the rest of the pieces of the puzzle together so that that demonstration fully manifests in the way that we see it manifesting. So yes, you can reach me there, and one moment. Yes.
Has any of the Moors done a PayPal demonstration?
I'm sure some have. They've not given public testimony about it. I am sure they have, because too many Moors have asked about that. So if you want to do a demonstration and then let us know how that demonstration goes, and if we can add any wisdom to it, absolutely. I just know that a lot of those types of demonstrations, with what we put on the record today and some of the other things that are coming forth, those demonstrations will manifest.
Okay, I was just letting you finish. I did one last night, and it was interesting because they require a national ID card and a bank statement. I provided them national ID. I provided our sovereign Moorish banking ledger, all of that, and it was rejected. Yeah, it was rejected. So, of course, lien, of course, and all of that, all that we do. So.
Yeah. So you did lien them, or no?
No, that needs to come. I know I should have done it before the demonstration.
Yeah.
But I'm going to.
That's a beautiful demonstration, Empress. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yes. Because PayPal, they've been shutting everybody down because they can't do anything unless they go through the Moors. They've been shutting down folks left and right with PayPal because the citizens they have to get off of that old system and come on to the new one, and PayPal is no exception. They're no exception. And
Islam, I'm sorry.
Islam, Empress.
I have a question to the Empress who was doing the demonstration with PayPal. Did you give them a notice, your fiduciary and the IRS ones, and did you also give them notice that the one that Lighthead did about the flag and the seal and the sovereign state? Did you give them notice for that?
So they were given the lien with the nom de guerre. They was given the United States Service Corporation lien. They was given fiduciary document with links to my my website with the 40 documents and all other liens that I've done, so they can check the public record. And they were given my nationality ID card and the banking ledger. And within like 10 minutes after providing all of that, they rejected my request or my command rather, to establish the PayPal account.
And yeah, Justice Raymond, they can't really reject anything because that's not a question. No one's asking them anything. See, they can't reject if you're not asking.
Islam, yeah.
But
did that answer your question, Empress Angel?
Oh yes, it did. Thank you.
Yeah. Islam, that's a beautiful demonstration, and it needed to be done. Yes, it did.
And just one more thing, I know we need to close out. I also did a green dot card, the money card that you can get from Food Line or whatever. I did that a while ago, and right now the account is negative like $40-something, but typically in the past, when an account is negative, they only let it go like because there's a monthly charge, and so the monthly charge is like $7 a month or whatever, and they only let it go to maybe like 2 or 3 months negative before they shut the whole card down. But this time it's just I'm assuming that the lien is stopping them from shutting the card down because it's so far in the negative the way that it is.
You know what? You believe that they actually have to take their hands off of it. It's not even theirs. It's not their account anymore. It's yours. And so we just have to speak to that competently, and you've done that. So they can't close anything because it's not theirs to close. So now what we're doing is just getting the other steps in place, like what we did just now, so that our instruments will be honored. So we have to keep looking at the law and seeing what was put in place. And once we put things on the public record this way, they can't close anything because, and I've shown my account at the custodians at Navy Federal. You know, I've shown that account. It's there, and they can't close it because it's not theirs to close. And so what we did was just took the numbers and, you know, see, they already know that they have to do what we tell them. They just know that we're looking at the laws and finding our way on how to give competent commands. That's all they're waiting on is competent commands from us, and we're still working through that process, you know. So it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. This tonight was a big, huge step in the right direction because they can't do anything that's unlawful at this point because we done leaned everybody. So we got everybody's hold it, stop with that unlawfulness, and let's do lawful money. And now they're just waiting for us to issue the lawful money. Tonight was a huge step in the right direction there. And then there's this next demonstration of giving back to Caesar, that which, you know, we're doing that by court action, where we give back the passport, the birth certificate, the driver's license, the mayor's license, and all that. But we've created our own for our own sovereign state. And when we show that we have met that point for point, and we hand it back to the quote unquote county court, and really it's just a constitutionally inferior court, then you'll see some other things happen that we've been stating. We have to give Caesar back his stuff, so that we can claim our estate properly, you know. And it's taken some time to get to this point. I'm just glad we're here because we're seeing the results of the work. And sometimes it turns out, it now more often than not is turning out the way we want it to. That banking piece, we're still getting that. So we'll be there in a minute. Islam, we're already there, really. So with that being said, thank you, Empress, for sharing that information, because it's important that we know that the demonstration was done and the outcome of the demonstration from their perspective and from our perspective, so that we know how to fine-tune everything that we're doing, Islam. So with that being said, if there's nothing further, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Islam.
Islam, peace and grand rising.
Yes,
Islam. Peace and grand rising.
Grand rising.
Islam.
Islam. Islam.
Get up on me.
Peace and love.
Islam. 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 I hear some airs.